Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Cageside Live. I'm the host, Matthew Roth. I am joined, first time in a long time, the general, the leader of Cageside Seats, the man in gorilla position, Geno Mrosko.
Always at the gorilla position.
You're always at the gorilla position. Geno, welcome back to the show. It's been almost a year since the snoring incident.
Get out of here! Has it really?
Dude, it's close. It's close to a year since the snoring incident. No, it was when I passed out on the show, and I don't think that Geno came back after that. I embarrassed him too much.
That's what really led to me leaving Cageside Live. I'm done now. The lack of professionalism on this show is ridiculous.
Yeah, dude, it is pretty bad. But you know what? I'm still gonna go ahead and say that despite the lack of professionalism that Sean Reuter shows, this is still probably one of the better pro wrestling podcasts. I like this stuff that we have on the site. So, I'm stoked to talk wrestling, man. I'm always stoked to talk wrestling.
Yeah, let's talk some fucking wrestling. Why are we here today, Matt?
Dude, some guy.
Just some dude.
Yeah, just some guy went on some sports TV show on some sports network.
He just walked in, yeah.
And he said that he re-signed with some wrestling promotion. And if you haven't been able to tell and you haven't heard, Brock Lesnar, the WWE Heavyweight Champion, is re-signed with the WWE going into WrestleMania, which is huge news after all the problems that's been going on during this negotiation process.
I can't believe you didn't take the opportunity to do the Let's Do This intro for this show of all shows.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. But
I'm pretty happy about this, man. I really am. This is absolutely the right move for Brock Lesnar's career. Because let's be real, I don't follow MMA so much anymore now that I don't have to cover it. Because I kind of hate MMA. When you're in it, and you have to cover every card, and it's some silly ass Brazil card at 4 a.m. or whatever, and Damian Maia's in the main event. I don't care about that.
Right.
So he's 38 years old. He had the multiple bouts with diverticulitis, including getting some of his intestines ripped out, literally. You don't get better at sports as you get older. You just don't. You decline significantly. And 38 years old, you know what? The heavyweight division is certainly not this big, monstrous, murderer's row of competition like it was at one time, even when he was there, maybe. But he couldn't. I can't see him beating the top level guys.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to is that the schedule with pro wrestling is way different than with MMA. Like, yeah, he's making more appearances with pro wrestling probably, but they're not low contact appearances where he's just like standing behind Paul Heyman and Paul Heyman speaks.
His WWE appearances are stand there and look tough.
Right, that's what for the most part he does. His role in the WWE is like he shows up, his music plays, and Paul Heyman speaks. Like, he has a very, very cushy gig with the WWE, and MMA, while let's say his schedule would be 2 fights a year, that's still training camp for the other 180 days of the year, like something like that, like something crazy like that, because you can't let yourself get out of shape. So, like, just on scheduling alone, it makes sense for him. And then, as you said, like, he's in an age where, like, the only person in MMA that got better with age was Randy Couture. That was that's it.
And how good was the heavyweight division at that time?
Right, like, and that was abysmal. Like, he beat Tim Sylvia. So, like, it's a different sport at this point. And, like, dude, it's such a cushy gig with the WWE. Like, they're not gonna have him like take chair shots and taking crazy bumps. He's not gonna be in like a Hell in a Cell match where he's taking bumps.
It's funny we say that because they did have a really crazy match at the Rumble, the triple threat, going through the table, and he got banged up. And people say, well, if you go to MMA, what's the difference between a super physical, really crazy match like that, where he looks like he's gonna die because he's sweating and he's purple and all this, and MMA? And it's like you said, there's training, there's sparring, there's months of a training camp to get ready for that kind of stuff that you don't have in WWE. He gets to go home and hang out. for months at a time. Like he said on SportsCenter, he gets paid full time to work a part-time gig.
Right.
Why would you
And
leave
it's so
that?
cushy. And it's so cushy, and like again, he's a monster. That's his entire role in the company is the monster. So it's not like again that he's doing these ridiculous high spots and shit like that on a
Right.
regular basis.
And it's,
So this is the best thing for the WWE. I mean, you're also speaking professionally, like for the site. This is amazing because
oh yeah,
you've been pretty pretty firm with your stance on this site where you don't cover MMA
no.
unless like, hey, Brock Lesnar signs with UFC, you'd make a point to post that, but like you don't make
We'll do the
MMA.
Punk stuff. When Punk fights, we'll cover that.
Yeah, but like,
And the,
but it's not how the MMA
sure.
sites cover Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, they're doing SummerSlam coverage and shit, and I'm like, come on, let's
Yeah.
Well, like they want to cover the Pacquiao Mayweather stuff, and they're like, well, he wrestled at WrestleMania, and it's like, I mean, I'll do it if that's if that's what I have to do, but it's not boxing, it's not pro wrestling. But yeah, so professionally, this is really good for us, and the post of him re-signing is already blown up in hits, and that's all good too. But back to Brock's decision, he said he fought with it for like a year. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But to me, it seems like what an easy decision you would think this would be, because there are no guarantees in MMA, right? Not generally speaking, but WWE is a guaranteed thing for him. He knows what he's going to get, and they offered him exactly what they offered him, which is basically the same thing as now, and they probably bumped his pay just to, entice him not to get into, let him hit the market to where they'd have to negotiate against UFC, and the UFC was ready to throw as much money as they needed to at him to get him to come back.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no guarantee he goes to MMA and wins. He could lose his first fight, and then he has no value in UFC, and then he has no value to WWE.
Right.
Where they've booked, and he'll never be better positioned than he is now. Holy shit, the booking that this dude has been gifted, and not even gifted because he's super talented. It's not like it's not a Roman Reigns thing where it's, you can question that he deserves it or not. And we did anyway when it was the streak, but it's now, do you question it now at all?
Oh, not at all. I mean,
that's how good he is.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, and I said it on Twitter, is that he's doing the best work of his career right now. Like,
he's awesome.
Like when he was a rookie, all until the point where he left the WWE, the best work that of anything that he did post WWE, his MMA career, this is the best stuff he's ever done, and it's because he had that MMA career. Like the WWE, the only reason why he has this like monster, the super monster and super physical role in the WWE is because he was successful in MMA, and he's doing the best stuff ever. This to me is legendary stuff. Like the way that from the dismantling of John Cena with what was it, like 21 German suplexes or whatever
16.
the hell, 16 German suplexes, like all the way to the WrestleMania match, not the WrestleMania match, the Royal Rumble match, which was phenomenal. He's doing some incredible stuff, and it's nice to see him stay in the WWE because it's a multi-year deal, so that kind of opens up the whole what happens at WrestleMania now. And then we could possibly get those dream matches of Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan, which we've been talking about for years now. And
I really don't think that's going to happen.
Oh no, I don't think it happens either. But
sadly,
it's a possibility now.
Sure, yeah.
It was a no chance before.
Mm-hmm.
But in your opinion, why does that never happen?
Well, the idea before was if Bryan didn't get hurt, Cena never gets suplexed 16 times straight out of the main event at SummerSlam. That would have been Daniel Bryan. That was the entire idea. It was his reign was going to be Chris Benoit 2004. You get the title, and then at WrestleMania in a big, huge, confetti falls, big celebration. The little guy finally won, but just this year, just like then or last year, it was okay. Then just get to SummerSlam, and then we're going to give it to this guy. We're going to give it to someone who we actually have plans for, who we actually believe can carry the promotion. It was Randy Orton in 2004. They were going to try to make the new big star. Of course, that didn't work out. They put it back on Triple H. Funny how that works. And then this time it was Lesnar. Yeah. So Bryan was never. Man, Bryan is. It's been a tug-of-war with the fans and WWE, like Vince has just been fighting all of us, and he will not stop. Like, we gave up at this point, basically, right? We've given up. We go, okay, you know what? Fine, Vince, fuck, you win. Brian, we'll just deal with him in the Intercontinental title picture. We won't keep pushing for the main event. You know, Reigns beat him at Fastlane, and it was like, you know, there were cheers and there weren't that many boos, and the lack of boos was like they beat it out of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the idea. They beat it out of us. So now it's like, will it happen? I doubt it, because there's no way they're thinking that's the big money. I just don't think that's where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, the big money probably is once it's another Cena match. You have the Rock match at WrestleMania 32.
Oh, that's happening for sure now.
That's 100% happening, and that will be amazing. Like, that will be the biggest fight atmosphere ever. That's including Pacquiao Mayweather. That'll be the biggest big fight atmosphere ever, because of how he's been booked to date. You brought up a good point where Vince just doesn't care anymore, and I don't know if you saw the Vince Russo comments either, but it seems like Vince Russo's comments leading into WrestleMania were basically that there's no interest in this card anymore, or there wasn't any because of how it's been booked. And now, again, I got to go back to it. Brock Lesnar re-signing, it gets me interested in WrestleMania. I wasn't interested in you know, I'm clearly going against your opinion. I wasn't interested in Sting's return. You know, I'm not interested in Sting versus Triple H. But having Brock Lesnar back against Roman Reigns, I don't know who wins the title now. Do you keep it on Brock because they need to keep it, you know, because he's doing amazing work, or do you still go with your plan of trying to crown your new Golden Boy? And I think that makes it intriguing for me to actually want to watch something that I was going to watch it, but not really, you know, with both eyes.
It's really intriguing. Yeah, that's a good word for it, because what do they do, right? Do you go with Reigns, who, look, God, we get into this shit all the time on the site, and there's a billion articles written about it. Is he ready? Is he not? You know, I don't know that anyone's ever ready, so to speak, but I don't know. Austin was 8 years in when he finally won the title at WrestleMania. I mean, even when he cut his promo, it took 2 years. And one classic, potentially the greatest WrestleMania match in history before he won the title. So there are things that need to happen. I don't know how much it matters. You know, like Dean Ambrose said, how much does it really matter what we think? But at the same time, it's intriguing, man, because no one has ever been booked like Brock Lesnar has. So if Reigns wins, well, then where does Brock go? Does that steal his appeal? I can't really care as much about Undertaker now because the streak's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this Wyatt thing, like Wyatt, you know, that promo at Raw was really good, and I'm looking forward to it a little more than I was before the promo, but it's still like Taker's just an old dude now
mm-hmm.
who can't really move very well.
And that was actually something that Sean and I talked about on our last episode of Cageside Live, was that they're at a point now with Undertaker and the way that where he lost most of his heat, you know, and what are they going to do? They're going to have him beat Bray Wyatt, and you're going to kill Bray Wyatt for another year just so you can book that Sting match potentially maybe next year.
Yeah, I don't know.
The way that their booking and their writing has been atrocious for so many things leading into WrestleMania that Brock Lesnar's return is like, whoa, like the main event may end up being a heel winning in the main event and retaining. That doesn't happen.
He won't be a heel in that crowd.
Oh, not at all. No, he's the face, but the way that he's booked, like he'll be the face as far as, you know, crowd reaction, but that's crazy. That's crazy.
That's what I said on Twitter. It's so funny to me. Like, this is the reality era and all that stuff. Reigns gives an interview and he goes, you know, people are chanting Daniel Bryan. And he goes, well, shut the hell up when I'm talking, right? That's what he said to the fans, right?
Right.
Lesnar gives this interview talking about re-signing, and he goes, Michelle Beadle says, timing's real interesting with Mania right around the corner. And he's like, I just thought it would be fair to the fans. I wanted to be fair to the fans. I said,
Mhm.
man, which one of you's the heel here? Which one of you am I supposed to hate? Like, what the fuck are you like? And okay, it's not kayfabe, it's not within that world, but even within that world, you've got Heyman cutting these promos that are so good that they transcend the idea of, okay, I'm supposed to hate what he's saying, but it's the way he's delivering it that's making me like, I'm like, yeah, I like it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's impossible for me to look. Okay, then you go to Reigns, and he comes in, and it's just the complete opposite. That's the thing too. Is, you know, you talk about Austin or whatever. Okay, he's up against Michaels, sure, but like he could actually match him in so many areas and be better in others. Reigns cannot match Brock Lesnar in any area of pro wrestling. And the one area he could be better at, which would be promos, and you could even argue that's no longer the case when they do the pre-tapes for Brock, which somehow he does a pre-tape interview 2 minutes long. It's the best thing on a 3-hour episode of Raw. But the one thing Reigns could be better at is promos, so they trot Heyman out, and that's one of the best promo artists in the history of the business. So Reigns is literally,
if not the best.
yeah. So Reigns is literally up against Lesnar, who's been booked better than anyone in history. At his absolute best as a performer, he's never been this good, even at the age that he's at. Heyman, who is just on top of his game. I mean, the dudes he's opposite are just A-pluses at all times. So whenever Reigns delivers a B- performance, it looks like an F, because of what he's up against. So it's just such a weird sort of like tug and pull between, you know, we can see that, you know, we can see if it was Reigns against a champion who wasn't this, even John Cena, it probably would have been better if it was John Cena. Then they would probably accepted Roman Reigns. That, I don't know, if they're going to put the belt on Reigns, I don't know, maybe they should have just made Cena the champ at Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I mean the fact is that fans right now, I mean, it's Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is the one that everybody is coming to see, and we've talked about how stupid it was to have a non-fighting champion, so to speak, but it works.
I'm a big fan.
Like I like the other titles just by default having to actually be defended.
SmackDown is all about the Intercontinental Championship now.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting. Like,
that's cool.
Like John Cena is fighting for the U.S. title, so like that's a belt that doesn't matter. And John Cena, the face of the organization, is going to be is wrestling for the title. Like
he's trying to make it a big deal.
Like you're trying to elevate these belts that for so long you didn't care about, and you just kind of pushed to the side. And so I think that's actually the biggest benefit for Brock Lesnar. Because the second that you give Roman Reigns that title, and Roman Reigns is on every single card defending it, those belts just by default just go, they no longer matter. They no longer matter because the heavyweight champion is there.
And let's be clear too, I don't want it to come across like I'm going, Reigns sucks, Lesnar's great. That's not what I'm saying. Because if Lesnar had to be on TV every week, and the dudes and women and whoever the hell it is that's in the creative room at WWE had to come up with stories for him every week, I'm fully confident he would look significantly worse than he does right now. That's just not the case. I don't know how he's avoided those pitfalls, although he didn't this past Monday with what had to be the worst closing angle to a main event at WrestleMania I've ever seen in my entire life. That was trash. I can't think of that. Either he signed after that happened and was cool with it, or before it happened and then was told about it. Right? So, like, okay, here's your creative for the night, and like no one sat there and went, really? This is really what you want me to sign a new multi-year contract with you, and you want me to get into a fucking tug-of-war to close this show? I'm not a 5-year-old. This is not how I handle my business. Like, tell me you didn't see that. You weren't watching, and when Reigns took it and held it up, I thought he's going to double leg him. And this is going to be awesome. He's going to double leg him and start hitting him with elbows to the head, and they're just going to brawl, and a billion refs are going to come running out, and they're going to separate them, and they're going to be holding them back, and we're going to fade with that scene like at Mania. There won't be all these refs. Hell yeah. Instead, it just closes with the dudes tugging and making mean faces, and I'm just like, oh my God, I just watched 2 gigantic children fighting over a toy. Yeah, I could not want to be any further away from this.
And that was super, super awkward trying to tug that belt too, man. Like, it wasn't like like muscling it back and forth,
Yeah.
like
They didn't even do the tug-of-war well.
they were doing like the slap fight equivalent of trying to like tug on a belt. Like
Yeah, man.
it just looks stupid. That kind of makes me believe that it was after the show that Lesnar signed the deal, because again, there's no way that you sign him to a new contract. You lock him in for years, probably till likely till he's 40. Like he's 37 now. It's probably 3-year deal. And that's how your big, we're going to WrestleMania. Like,
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it, man.
I don't know, man.
A good enough salesman. This is what This is what I try to think of when these angles get to TV. I go, okay, Vince is a salesman, or they've got guys, and that's part of it. You're not just creative. You have to pitch this shit and then make everybody buy it, or make the important people buy it. On paper, I guess I can kind of see a little bit where that might work, where you could look at it and go, okay, yeah, that can kind of. I don't know, man. Maybe not. Because I think about it, I'm just like, but I've already seen it, so it's like it was such a shitty, like terrible, awful way to, I don't know. And then you're just gonna take the belt? Like that's not how it works. And Reigns gave an interview and he's like, I wanted to show that I can just take it from him like that. And he's like, you realize that's not how you're gonna win Sunday.
Right.
You have to actually win a match.
Like it's different than the way that they've been building the IC, because the IC, like, the reason.
Yeah, we've already got people stealing belts and running away.
And right, and the IC title, like, dude, I'm interested in that because of the way that it's been booked. It's stupid. Like, it's so dumb, but it gets me.
It's the dumbest shit, yeah. But I've been enjoying it.
But it's like that Chikara, the Chikara fan in me, where it's like, this is really stupid, but it's funny.
If everyone commits, I'll buy in. I don't care what you're selling in pro wrestling. The fucking bunny was one of my favorite storylines, and they just dropped it. I was committed to this fucking bunny at the Adam Rose thing, and I hate Adam Rose. And they dropped it. I'm upset about it. I'll commit no matter what you're doing. And yeah, that's Chikara. Ant-Man and shit. Just all sorts of madness. Time travel. I'm in, dude. Just tell a good story.
The one thing which is surprising to me, and I kind of figured that he wasn't going to go to exclusive with either company, because the UFC clearly needs Brock Lesnar, especially with this is the year that all their debts are up, so like they need to start paying down all their big debts, and so I figured that they're going to be throwing so much money at Brock Lesnar to get him to sign, and the WWE clearly needs him too, because it's the most captivating thing on television. That they're kind of going to change their policies for this one person, and basically be like, hey, you know what, like, you're able to fight 2 times a year as long as you're ready for WrestleMania and SummerSlam for us. So like you can do the UFC's end of year show in January, but you need to be ready for WrestleMania for us. I figured that was the way.
He's a Big Four guy. It's like we're back in the Big Four pay-per-view era, and I don't work these fucking B shows. Like that's, and he doesn't need to. It works, man. It just works.
And I figured that's the way that they would have done it. Like, the timing kind of works out pretty well, where like the UFC is their big shows are 4th of July and New Year's Eve, and those are in between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, and then he just have to work at Royal Rumble, which is right after the New Year's Eve show. So like he'd still be in shape. I think it could have worked out that way, and that was what I was expecting. I'm happy this way, man, because I don't want to see him fighting in the UFC.
He's a much better pro wrestler than he is mixed martial artist.
Yeah, and he was a great mixed martial artist. Like that's not taking away from him, but he was a one of a kind talent in pro wrestling.
In MMA, he was a draw. Like that dude averaged like 1 million buys per card.
Oh yeah.
That's insane. They can't sell 1 million now to save their life. They can't even get close anymore.
Nope.
All their big stars left, or they're all getting busted for doping and whatever. I think Anderson Silva got busted recently, didn't he?
Yep, Anderson Silva got busted for steroids. John Jones got busted for cocaine. Anthony Pettis just lost his title, so like it's been a good year as far as pay-per-view buys go for the UFC, but it's been a bad year as far as headlines. And again, you can't find another Brock Lesnar. Like Brock Lesnar, fighting on a UFC card with CM Punk on the undercard, that's legitimately like a 1.5 million buy card.
And
Just
Punk wanted that.
yeah, and Vince wasn't going to let that happen. That's the first number one thing. He was never going to let Brock Lesnar fight on a card with either CM Punk fighting or CM Punk on commentary.
So, okay, he's back. He is back, and he's here to stay. A couple years, he'll probably retire. Now, the problem with WWE, I mean, Undertaker and then now this, and they don't have any of the WrestleMania stuff set in stone yet. Which normally they do, okay, whatever. But the problem with what they've been doing is the stories are not fleshed out. It's always so last minute. And I understand why in this instance, because he had the contract stuff. But, with Undertaker, it's like they couldn't, you could argue that maybe later, if he loses and retires after the show, that it was all Wyatt's whole thing was about getting him to retire or whatever, and that's the story they were trying to tell. But yeah, I think the reality is more, we're not sure if he's going to work the show. So we're going to hope, and we're going to start doing this, and then, once it's locked in at the last minute. So that means you can't tell these really good stories. It's kind of been a little bit of the same with Brock and Reigns, because they could never be sure of what's going to happen, but now they are. So, who wins? Are they going to keep it on Brock?
Yeah, I think they're going to keep it on Brock. I think that they're not sure about Roman Reigns enough that he that he takes the belt. Again, I think at this point, with 2 years in 2 years in a row, I think that the WWE probably learned their lesson. Or 3 years in a row, they probably learned their lesson about Raw after WrestleMania. And the only way that you can actually make it work is if you know that Roman Reigns is going to get booed and you are planning already for him to be a heel. That would work because you know he's going to get booed after WrestleMania, and you can't have him go into the ring with the belt and go cut a baby face or like a tweener even promo.
If they beat him, that is an admission of failure, unless they turn him heel. If they beat him and he stays baby, that's essentially an admission of failure.
Exactly.
We didn't get him over. Didn't work. Which would be, you can come back from that. Of course, you can come back from damn near anything in pro wrestling. I mean, a character tweak here, the right performance here in front of the right crowd who accept you, and yeah, man, your career can take off, and even Roman Reigns could get to it. Anybody gets it. Curtis fucking Axel is in the middle of doing really well everywhere he goes with a gimmick that dictates that he's a complete geek. He's just a total idiot. And, it's actually getting over to the point where I'm moderately entertained by this man now. Whereas before, I would have paid money, good money, just to never see him again on my television. So you can save him, but either if he loses, I think you have to turn him heel. It has to be maybe the next night he loses and comes out, and of course they'll probably boo the shit out of him in San Jose the next night on Raw, and then maybe he just cuts a heel promo, and then he just off to the races. That's what The Rock did. It never worked with The Rock. This is like if they had kept going with The Rock as a babyface back in the day, the Die Rocky Die stuff, and Vince was like, I don't care. He's the babyface. I'm pushing him. That's just how it's going to be. Right. And say, what, dude, they're chanting for him to die. And Reigns is not fully that way, and there are legitimate issues at play, whereas you go to a house show, and Reigns gets a far bigger reaction than Daniel Bryan does, and he gets a lot more cheers, and they love him. Nobody boos him. But then you go to TV, and people are booing him, and they have other business metrics that they have to look at. And so if he's ahead of Bryan in literally every metric except crowds booing, then, it's the smart business is to push the guy. But you get to this point, and now you're in this position where Brock's been booked the way he has, and this win would be a monumental win. And if he gets it and it fails, then you just took away what you still had with Brock and would have had you beaten him. So it's a tough call. I wouldn't even want to be in this position. I wouldn't have been in this position anyway because I would have brought Bryan back and had Reigns booed out of the building because they eliminated Bryan from the Rumble. That was a mistake they made. That's really what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Royal Rumble was clearly the mistake, and that's the way they did it, and it's crazy to me because you've set this guy up for failure. Roman Reigns probably is super passionate about pro wrestling. Like,
I love Roman Reigns.
yeah,
He's good.
like he's there's no question in my mind that he's passionate about pro wrestling. He went a different route than most people, and that's the other thing that most smarks don't want to give him credit for is that, well, you didn't do the indies. You never worked and had to put together a ring. You were never that guy.
Yeah, and that shit is silly.
And that's stupid. But at the same time, there is something to be said about that too. Like,
Sure.
he has had this handed to him, and because he is a son of somebody who the WWE loves, and he has that lineage. So there is something to be said about that too. But I think that the only way that you can have him win at WrestleMania is if he is a heel. If you have him go try and win as a babyface, and your plan going forward is babyface, and you're not willing to stray from that plan, as you said, you're going to have a situation where if The Rock did not cut the Die Rocky Die promo, which is what made him The Rock. Like, you're basically, like, if you expected Dwayne Johnson to go out there and be like, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, this was the most amazing opportunity in my life. Like, no, like, we don't have Dwayne Johnson. Like, Dwayne Johnson is not a person after that. His career is over. And I think that that's the big concern, is that the WWE thinks that, his merch sales are up. He's doing better than everybody else in the roster as far as house show draw and blah, blah, blah. If they're going to base it on that and they're going to try and go forward with him as a babyface, the next night is going to be the opposite of Fandango. It's going to be the opposite of any of these big, post-WrestleMania shows. It's going to be the opposite of it. You're going to be killing somebody because on television, the night after WrestleMania, which is a huge ratings night for him, you're going to have your television audience seeing this guy get booed out of the building, and then therefore he's no good.
Can you imagine if back at that time The Rock had responded to those chants by saying, I like your passion. Like, that's the default thing now, because that's what Cena's been for so long, and Reigns was kind of doing the same thing. He was going, well, the WWE universe can do what they want, and I'm just glad to be a part of it, kind of thing. Like, that's not what I want from my characters. I watch because there are these characters, and I get invested in the stories, and yeah, the action in the ring and the great matches and stuff, but that's not how you feel. And I know that. And I don't like it that you're trying to tell me that's because that's such a fucking robotic response. Like, if The Rock had gone out and said, I appreciate your passion. Thanks for at least making noise while I'm out here. Dude, no. I'm not. That would never. I want to put myself in that position and go, is that how I'd respond? Not in a million years. You're telling me to die. You want my life to end. You want my fucking heart to stop. You think I'm okay with this? Fuck you guys. You guys are fucking terrible. You're all shit stains all over this fucking arena, and I'm the talented one in the ring. You can all go to hell. That's a real response. So it's like, so there's a part of me that really liked it when he was like, they're chanting Daniel Bryan. When I'm talking, shut the hell up and let me talk. I love that. The problem is, again, dude, you're a babyface. You can't tell people to shut the hell up and expect them to like you. So it's like, I appreciate that that's a real human expressing actual human emotion when confronted with a difficult thing. People who he hopes would like him, despising him, and picking someone else over him. I just want more. I just wish WWE would be a little more open to acknowledging these things in some sort of real way. And you know what? It could turn it right back around. You can turn it right back around by being an actual human being and going, I don't like that, or not necessarily shut the hell up, but find a creative way to acknowledge that, yeah, it fucks with you, but you're going to keep going anyway, kind of thing. And I mean, I know I will, and all that bullshit, but it's just it feels so forced. And it looks like that's not really how he feels. That's the key to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is real. His music hits, shit's getting real, and he does those pre-tapes, and everything he says just feels legit. And at the end of it, he gets up and he knocks his chair over and he walks away because I'm done with this bullshit. I don't know why I have to talk to you. I'm going to fuck him up at WrestleMania, and that's all there is to it. Like, that feels real. You connect with that guy. Right? Mm-hmm. You're captivated by how it's palpable, man. It's just, that's how you want it to be. Reigns is the opposite. It's like, you're saying words to me, man. I don't believe any of it because I don't think this is who you are. You are not this guy. You would not ever, while you're sitting here talking to me, or you want to fight me, or we're in the ring and I'm your enemy, start talking about suffering succotash and fucking jacking a beanstalk. That's not what would ever happen. Like, and that's the writer's fault. And so again, that's what it comes. You know, all these arguments on the site. Well, Roman Reigns is shit. I don't know if he's shit or not, because I don't know if he's ever gotten the chance to actually show who the fuck he is. He's dealing with this awful writing, wherein all these writers who've probably never been in a fight in their entire life and ever talked any shit before getting into that fight. Guarantee. Have you ever been in a fight?
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
ever talk like that before said fight?
Never.
Of fucking course you didn't. Of course you didn't. Like, it's just, but you did. You've talked like how Brock does. I'm gonna fuck you up. Like, I am going to kick you. I'm going to punch your teeth down.
100% I have talked like Brock. Talked
Yes.
before.
Because that's how people talk.
Right. You're
No, I just like to imagine you being like, "Let's do this!" and
yell, scream. No, I don't know. Brock Lesnar's believable. That's what it comes down to. Like, he's believable, and you know, like it goes back to, you know, when the Shield broke up. Roman Reigns, he's supposed to be this badass-looking dude, but he's the dude still wearing the same costume as like these hitmen, and he's
it looks like a costume too. Yeah.
right, and that's not his character anymore. So like he's not a vigilante anymore. Like he you know he's not that person, and I think that's also what's kind of hurting him too. Is that like he never got anything new. It was just like, cool, you're the last guy of the Shield.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think that you are 100% correct. He's never been given the chance. He's never been given the opportunity to actually show who he is, because it's a lot easier and it's a lot safer to do it the way that they're doing. They don't, you know, they're not going to let him speak. They're never going to let him write his own promo or speak his mind, because that would be crazy. You know,
he's actually really good too, off the cuff. He was. There was the SummerSlam panel. He sparred back and forth verbally with Stone Cold Steve Austin and held his own.
100%. But they don't want to have the, you know, the chance where he does a, you know, like a slip up, and you know where like Sid Vicious, and says, hey, let's do it again. Like they don't want to do that, and it sucks, because that's who his character is. He's supposed to be this badass dude, and you're not letting him be this badass dude. I feel for him.
Yeah, at some point it stopped being, you show us who you are and we'll work with that, and it started being, hey, come here, here's the script, this is who you are.
Right.
And that doesn't work. That's part of why wrestling is so shit these days. And we talk about the Attitude Era, and the writing in the Attitude Era was even worse. The writing in the Attitude Era was hot garbage. People like to remember it so fondly, and you remember it because you had guys like Austin, like Rock, turning, you know, chicken salad into chicken, or chicken shit into chicken salad or whatever. Right? Like,
right.
These guys were so good, and they could be who they were, and that would come out, and then they would write for that. And it wasn't like when they tried to, Austin, you're the ringmaster. You never get to talk, and you get DBI, and it clearly didn't work, because they're telling him who he is. And then, well, here's you, but just turn it up to 11. Biggest money draw in the history of the business for the WWF. Like, not a surprise. And he's the biggest advocate for, let him go out, give him an outline. Here's what you want to talk about, but you just do it how you need to. You know, the pipe bomb, that wasn't scripted. Like, they knew it was going to happen. It wasn't a shoot, certainly, but it's, go ahead and say it. Here's the mic, and you go ahead and say what you need to say. And what happened? One of the best promos ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny that one of the best promos ever is consistently not something that some writer came up with and wrote on a script and made him memorize.
Well, you know, it's also, at some point you got to let these people fail. Like, at some point you got to let Roman Reigns either succeed or fail, and you can't and you can't make it super protected for the rest of his career. At some point, he's either going to get over legitimately, everybody's going to love him, and he's going to be able to cut a promo, and he's going to be, you know, the complete guy that you expect him to be, or he's going to fail. And if that's the case, then, like, it's okay not being the next Rock. It's okay if he turns into the next Sheamus or the next, like, Randy Orton. And I say both of those guys because neither of them is in the same, you know, level as like a John Cena or a Stone Cold Steve Austin or a Rock. Like, they're not in that level. But they've both been really, really successful, and that's not like at some point they just need to say like, look, we got to accept that either he's going to be a Rock or he's going to be a Sheamus, and both are respectable. Like, dude, like for all he could be a Triple H. Triple H never a top guy, but not a top drawing guy. Sorry, not a top drawing guy.
Not the top guy.
Right, not the top guy, but like that's still respectable being not the top guy and being Triple H. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
I think like there's so much that we could talk about, but the big thing though is, this is huge for the WWE, man. Like
this is awesome.
Like for the next 3 years, you can, and they said multi-year, and that's usually not 2, so figure it's probably you have him until he's 40. There's no way that he's going to do anything athletic after 40 years old. I don't think that Brock Lesnar has that kind of ego where you have to worry about him going to the UFC or Bellator or trying to jump cars and jump canyons. Like once he retires from WWE, that I think is going to be the end of him in the media.
No, he sounded like he was pretty, all set.
Yeah, like this is good. And so this is important. Like you got the final years of Brock Lesnar, and this is fun, dude. Like again, pro wrestling is fun.
Think of the matchups, man. At some point, we could get Brock Lesnar versus fucking Kevin Owens.
Right.
That could happen. Or Finn Balor.
And both are likely. Or Sami Zayn.
Or Bryan. Or maybe the Bryan thing happens. I don't know. I'm not going to hold out hope, and I don't think you should either, listeners, but maybe it does.
Yeah.
You never know.
And that's really cool. Like,
by the way, Austin shouted us out on his podcast today. People kept tweeting me. They're like, dude, he's putting you over so strong, man. I can't believe it. And so I'm like, of course I go listen to it. And he's just reading. He's reading the site, running down the WrestleMania card with Court Bauer, and he's like, I'm on CagesideSeats.com looking at the match card here. And he was reading about the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and he's like, and so here's this match, and he's like, and this match is the annual get everyone on the card who doesn't have anything else to do match, and that's what Cageside Seats is reporting. I was like, damn! I was like, that's my line! I fucking wrote that! Cool, man. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Awesome. I was like, no fucking way. That's pretty cool.
I'm excited, dude. Like, I'm legitimately excited about...
I'm really pumped, yeah.
Like, at least that part of WrestleMania, because, again, you and I will disagree, man. I'm not excited for Sting.
Fuck you. Why? Tell me why. Before we go, tell me why you don't like Sting.
It's not that I don't like Sting. It's that at a certain point, he, in the past 8 years, when he was with TNA, he wasn't great. Like his stuff in the ring is awful.
Well, that's your problem. You were watching TNA.
No, but it's not like he's gonna become like 40, like let's say 40-year-old Sting, and on WrestleMania.
God, he's 56 now, isn't he?
That's fucking crazy.
Good God.
Like, that's crazy to me.
I don't care. I love him, dude. I don't care. That was great.
It's cool that Sting is in the WWE, but dude, you know what? Even 4 years ago when we were hoping for Sting versus The Undertaker, that would have been awesome. But he's not going to let Triple H go over, as far as creatively.
Oh, Triple H is going to win.
Oh, you think he is?
Oh, absolutely.
No
Dude,
way.
This is the same. Hang on. This is the same. Now, I was encouraged when he came out and said, this isn't about WCW and taking another shot. How stupid would that be? And it was like, wow, thank you for saying that. Holy shit. Like, what a wonderful thing to have my favorite wrestler say. Or I guess Lesnar's my guy, but Sting might, growing up and shit, It's like, it makes sense. That's fucking dumb as shit. And they keep pushing it. And Triple H or whatever, who's delusional, but he's a heel, so that, this works. This is a good story. But you got to think reality, dude. Vince McMahon, when they could have made just buku bucks, we're talking so much money on an invasion. And this was when they were the most profitable they've ever been. We're talking 2001. They had the money. They could have bought out the contracts for Goldberg, for Sting, for Nash, Hogan, all of these guys. They could have brought them all in. All the big stars and another big invasion and booked them strong. They had the fucking playbook laid out for them by the guys that they bought. WCW booked the NWO better than. Come on, man. They showed you how to do a good invasion. Instead, Lance Storm comes running out. Storm's good talent. Don't get me wrong. Storm's
Great
not
talent.
drawing
Great
in the main
talent.
event. Storm is not
No,
a main
no,
event guy. He's not going to draw a
no.
bunch of money for you in an invasion angle. And you're running and it's just a bunch of jobbers. And I think the bigger stars that they had were Booker T, who was not booked very to look anything on the level of the main event guys in WWE, and DDP, who was immediately put into a stalker angle and did jobs to Undertaker's old lady, like on Raw.
Mhm.
So this is that company. Now, it's a lot of years later. The war's been over for a long time. But they're making documentaries now, twisting history up, acting like things were something they weren't, to make them look as good as they possibly can. You're telling me they're going to bring in Sting, the franchise of WCW, the dude most closely associated with WCW, the flag bearer of the promotion, the dude who never left, the number one guy, even if that wasn't true for the most part while he was there, the number one guy. You're going to put him against Triple H, who likes to act like and position himself like he was arguably the number one guy in WWE, and there was a time there you could have said that, 2000, 2003, 4, 5, whatever. Okay. And you're going to tell me they're going to have the WCW guy beat the WWE guy? No fucking way. These
Yes.
people are way too egotistical for that.
For one reason, there's no way that Sting signed to come back to the WWE if he's losing in WrestleMania for the first time.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, because you know what? It's also tradition. If this is his only match, he needs to lose. He should lose. If he's only going to work one match, he should lose.
Okay, so
Triple H will be here next year.
So Sting loses to Triple H and then he beats the Undertaker.
No, he retires. I'm saying if he's going to stay and do the Taker match next year, which there's no way they can plan that, because there's no way Taker could come to him and go, I'm going to be here for next year.
Right.
It'd be nice because it's in Dallas or whatever. Maybe that's his retire. I think they should actually try to build to someone's fucking retirement so we can get a good story out of it. But if they aren't sure and they want to go with the sure bet or the bet that it's the most likely, I just don't see Triple H doing a job for this guy. I just don't. They have that mindset. They really do. That is how they think.
Yeah, no, I understand that that's how they think, but I also think that there's no way that Sting would just let him sign to lose. That just doesn't make sense to me.
He's signing for his WrestleMania moment.
So
and to finally have a match. He never said he needed to go there and win. He just said he needed to have a match at WrestleMania.
No, but again, these guys do have egos, man, and there's no way that he's re-signing to get booked to lose.
Dude, Sting agreed to Starrcade '97. Sting's career is marked with ridiculously dumb decisions.
That's true. That is true. That is true. You know what? It really just comes down to the fact that, how old is he? 57?
Yeah, something like that. 56, 57.
Yeah,
he's old as fuck.
And Triple H is 43. And while Triple H can get a great match out of most people, I don't think he can get a great match out of a 57-year-old that hasn't been working high-quality stuff for the better part of a decade.
I don't even care. I mean, I just love the spots, man. He did the Stinger Splash on Raw. Fuck. You should have saw me. I'm in here. I'm a kid in here, man. I'm just dying with it. It's just so good to see that kind of stuff. And when it's the big stage and it's Mania, and he does the yell to the crowd, and they all yell back at him, and then he does the Stinger Splash on Triple H, who Triple H sells better than anyone since he's gotten older and become the executive, and he only works every now and again, and he's super into making his opponents look good. He's become the best salesman on the damn roster.
Yeah.
And so I could see the splash, and then Triple H just flops all the fuck around like he just got hit with a cannonball to the gut, and it's going to be great. People you can't think, it's not Bryan versus Ziggler. I mean, we're not going to get Michaels versus Bret Hart. Of course not, right? But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be stupid.
Fuck.
Would
you fuck off?
Scorpion Death Drop is the stupidest pro wrestling finisher.
Fuck you! You're done. You're done here. You'll never work in this town again.
Since end of days.
You'll never work on this side again. You're done. How did you say that to me? That is the dopest finisher.
No, it's so dumb.
It's so dope. Oh, you're the worst.
It's not a good finisher, man.
I can't believe you.
Dude, if you did finishers ranked, stupidest finisher.
Top 5, easy.
Top 5 stupidest finisher.
Would you fucking hell?
That's stupider than Mojo Riley's jumping on you with his ass. Stupider finisher.
Well, who the hell's Mojo Rawley? I don't.
Moho Rawley.
Moho, yeah, Moho Rawley. Dude, how could you say that to me? Oh man, we got to get out of here now. I can't believe that. You're done. You're done, Roth. You're fucking fired worse than Sean is, man.
Like, no, I'm not fucking. Fuck you. I quit.
You should have just cut it off right there, and people have been like, "What just happened? Was that